kind of irrelevant because such was the lead for SKT. They could have done whatever they wanted.
I learned that SKTelecom is bloodthirsty and unrelenting.
Well, you obviously haven't been paying attention in class, Achilles, because 3 years has taught you that.
I've known this for quite some time. We can see, though, Big and Ban for Game 2 up on the screen. And this is going to look pretty familiar so far as Azir taken away by MVP. Still just don't want Faker to get his hands on it, even with the 6.11 changes.
You see the Nidalee ban respected to Beyond as well. I have to feel like SKT... I don't think any team has really worked out, especially in Korea, what the correct 611 bans are. It's been a surprise to see things like Azir and to a lesser extent Ryze in the ban list. I feel like Ryze is still very powerful. Karma is the 3rd ban, so Faker's already found himself 3 mid lane bans, so he's probably, as usual, feeling pretty good about himself. And he's on the red side, so if they want a last pick for Faker, they can, but I have to feel like they're going to just last pick for Duke and get him into a winning carry matchup because we've seen the Trundle. We know he's a great Trundle. I want to see some of those carry top laners from Duke.
Yeah. You just can't ban out Faker is the issue. And the Varus still does get banned away here by SKTelecom. Some slight respect being shown there. Definitely not a necessary one. The pressure that Blank and Faker were able to apply between the two of them was just insurmountable by MVP as a whole. And you see MVP might just be sticking to 6.10 tactics with this Maokai hover.
At least in a scenario like last game, Maokai would have done something. Aurelia, when she's behind, does basically nothing. Has a single target stun, but in this patch may not even be maxing that burst, so it could just be low duration. Maokai can be in one of those scenarios where he can fight his way back with very few items, has that CC, has the teleport. Vladimir was kind of overlooked in a large way in the previous draft. Of course, didn't see any changes. Still expected to be a premier pick, so we may actually see the first pick Vladimir come through from MVP.
Vladimir Swain, all aboard the hype train. God, I hope that doesn't happen. But they are hovering on this one for quite some time, so it looks like they might just lock this more than likely for Ian. Don't think ADD wants to run that one up to the top side, but they could flex it.
There is the possibility, and something like this will actually probably delay SKT from picking their mid lane pick till very late in the draft, Achilles, because we already saw that Faker has the answer to the Sane Mages with the Anivia. There is still the outside chance of flexing it, so now you probably do want to keep Faker for that last pick on red side.
I just don't want this Maokai.
Okay then, no Maokai then.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Duke. It's like Nami Elise might be grabbed up for SKTelecom. They're still playing around with this jungle pick for the time being. Only 2 jungle bans this time.
We've seen Gragas in the top lane and the jungle. Beyond got MVP playing the Gragas, so until it's locked in, it could just be a shot across the broad side to Beyond. We do see the Nami locked in, so Nami priority jumping way up. So Soraka with this sort of priority in the past, and now we're seeing Nami jump up, and Blank's going to stick with the Elise. And ever since MSI, that's a really good thing from my side of the coin. He was very, very good on this champion, specifically in the grand final of MSI.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. You can see Beyond, though, showing that Amumu for a second. I'd love to see that one get locked in again. Might be the right amount of surprise to pull a fast one on SKTelecom and find some sort of edge earlier on in the game.
Yeah, Amumu still has to be drafted in later phases of the draft most of the time. You know, there is that synergy between champions like Vlad and Amumu with the damage amp AoE for Amumu to ride in, or the other way around, getting 5 members hit with that Hemo Plague. Action onto MVP, expecting there to have a mid lane pick, and it looks like they want to pick their AD carry and support as well. They already have the information that Nami will be the support on this side of SKT.
Yeah, so Braum makes sense. Use the Unbreakable and get rid of that tidal wave.
That's definitely a decent choice. Can be risky in the laning phase, but probably going to be just fine. May see SKT just return to Ezreal, which of course has been a staple of Bang for a long time. Lucian's available. Lucian, of course, saw some pretty heavy nerfs on 611.
Yeah, range to his piercing light.
There's been incremental nerfs to Lucian for a long time, but it feels like this may be the one to actually push him out of viability. But of course, Bang needs to do his cast a tribute before we get any actual information.
Just gotta shuffle through. He put the Trundle in there. Does that mean that he thinks that Dankun looks like a Trundle?
Gosh. Your words, not mine, because I didn't even think of that reality. Faker, will they just reach for
I mean,
the
he's
Anivia
shown it
now?
already. They could just go for this. I mean, Anivia, the only change that she really got on this patch was a little bit of increased mana cost to the ultimate for the early levels.
Which is relevant, but obviously not a massive hit.
Yeah.
The only risk here is that you can flex the Vladimir. So that's the kind of issue, is that I think drafting-wise, if this was a massive match, you do hold on to the Anivia to last pick, unless you know for sure that ADD won't pick that Vladimir. But even team comp-wise, there still will be a phase, theoretically, where Vlad and Anivia are interacting in a 5v5, and Anivia will still be very relevant, even if she has a more difficult early game laning phase to get through.
Yep. That's going to be Kalista for Bang. Not an AD carry that we see a whole lot of anymore, so surprising to see him draw that one back out, especially when Ezreal is available.
I mean, the champion pool for AD carries is now different. It's worth noting that Lucian was a blocker pick to a lot of ADs, and I wouldn't say Kalista was one of those, but there are certainly AD carries that were outclassed by Lucian, and now with Lucian less of a consideration, and also the Lucian-Kalista matchup going further into Kalista's advantage, then you can understand it coming in. Kalista-Nami is an interesting duo, just because Nami's probably going to be on a disengage.
You don't really want to throw Nami.
No, you throw Nami out, of course. It's all about like you used to use the Janna lanes, but it definitely isn't. It's not Braum, that's for sure.
You can't block the tidal wave if it comes from behind you. And it's going to be Gragas and Echo picked up here for the side of MVP. So looking like jungle Gragas for Beyond, and top Echo coming back through for ADD. So going with that one despite the nerfs, and Duke will be pulling out Aurelia. So we finally get to see him on his first true carry top laner.
And we already saw Blank show plenty of attention to Duke's lane last game. Expect to see even more now. Duke's on the one with the Trendy Force power spike. Let's see how this goes. Duke has always been known as a laning-focused champion. Back at MSI, and in the past, he's had his struggles with teleports. Why Maokai was eventually given to him, and he's kind of learned how to make those big teleport plays over time. But he's previously been known, especially on the Naja days, purely as a laning dominant top laner. It's why he won Spring Season MVP, dominating the lane, and that's why the meta changes, but if anything, it fits SKT better than it did before.
Yep. I'm just excited for Duke, because Trundle not really a true carry top laner, but Duke still plays him like one. So now I want to see how bloodthirsty he's going to be on this Aurelia, especially going into Echo with all of these changes. Could be really interesting to see how he's going to work around that, because Aurelia obviously still has innate tenacity because of the passive, so the parallel convergence is even going to be even less reliable for ADD, because it already has that stun duration nerf to it.
And Duke in his career is 1-1 on Aurelia, so looking to get above 50% with a win here.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't been a lot of Aurelia days, though, in the last few years.
Let's move to 66%.
The dream.
Repeating. That'd be nice, but MVP definitely going to have to look a lot stronger coming into this one, because SKTelecom are unstoppable at the moment, looking for that 10-0 score line.
A brave man to bet against SKT at the best of times against MVP.
Or a full.
After that game one, or a full, as you say. Nothing's changed, though. SKT looking great so far this series.
Yep. Figures Anivia coming back out into this Vladimir, so I think we know how this one goes. With as many blue buffs as he was able to get in that last game, but let's go ahead and get straight into Game 2. All right, Mountain Drake going to kick things off from us. And like I was saying, Faker last time playing this into the Vladimir Swain matchup. I'm pretty sure that it was against Longzhu. They only got maybe 2 buffs from their own jungle, so Faker constantly had blue buff on his side and didn't even get punished for a very late tier build.
I mean, MVP has some good answers for Anivia in this comp. Anivia very much wants to stand in one spot while she's channeling her ultimate. Something like a Gragas Cask could push it away, as we see. It didn't invade for vision here from SKT.
Yep. Duke's still going to come out on top of that one.
Echo also so maneuverable that the wall doesn't really have any relevance against Echo in most team fights. Yep. So it's definitely not Vlad Swain really want to stay in melee range of the enemy team.
Yep. Oh, Max going to walk into the rush here. Finds Wolf. The Winter's Bite's not going to connect. We'll get a little bit of damage in onto Bang. You can see Duke just looking to max out those auto attacks with the fervor of battle.
Strength of the Ages once again from Vladimir. Second time we've seen mid lane Vlad go for that Strength of the Ages. Now you do get 300 health, which does interact with AP better than it did in the past. So you are getting the big value out of the passive from Vlad in that situation.
What else do you think we would be seeing from Vladimir as far as Keystone? Do you think that there's one that's more optimal, or?
No, I'm liking it. I've just been thinking about it, because of course it's not normal to see mid lane strength of the ages.
Yeah.
Or in laning strength of the ages in general, just because the cannons come less often than, say, the big jungle camps do for junglers. That's why you see junglers take strength of the ages. But I played some Vladimir pre-rework, and none of the keystones felt great, so I think strength of the ages does fit pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, what else would you take? Deathfire Touch or Thunderlord's Decree? Not really very fitting for that champion.
Level 2 first gotten by ADD in top lane, so let's see how the jungle pathing is from Blank, because we heavily expect him to want to visit top and snowball this Aurelia.
Yeah. He wants to get Duke ahead as quickly as he possibly can.
And look, it's going pretty damn quick.
Yep, he's already roaming up here. Duke should have the stun. There it is, comes out. Flash Cocoon, perfectly played by Blank. There's on the parallel convergence. Will he be able to get the stun? He will. And Duke has to flash away. Flash forward by
Nicely
ADD.
done.
Finds the first blood. Will go down, but very nicely played by ADD to pick up first blood.
ADD juked in and out of that brush, expertly got the stun down, and the minions did the rest of the work. Duke is outplayed by ADD, and the hope for a perfect series is gone, but it's good to see some life still in MVP.
Yep. We're worried about whether or not they'd be able to bounce back, and so far looks like ADD feeling pretty good. So both summoners going to be down for those top laners, and Blank going to be without a flash. So it could be something that Beyond takes advantage of.
I was watching the replay on my screen. He was actually really smart. He juked aggressively into the minion line to ensure there was more and more minions hitting on Duke, and then eventually went towards the turret. So he maximized the chance the minions would take him down. So expertly done from ADD. Good to see.
You could just say that he duked on him.
Oh boy, the Dukeception there.
It works out.
Duking and juking with Duke.
It adds up. And Max just having some trouble hitting these winter lights.
SKT expects Beyond to be on the bot side of the jungle, so they're showing a lot of respect in the bot lane.
Yeah, have that Sentinel roaming through that bottom side of the Tri-Brush. And Beyond. That didn't catch him, but he's staying on a ward now. That was weird.
Definitely conspicuous one way or the other.
It looked like it should have been seen.
I agree.
He's a very large man to
That's
not
true.
get spotted by that cone of vision. Sentinel needs to get its eyes checked. And SKT just going to keep him here as long as they possibly can. Beyond's just losing time to be in the jungle.
So Duke is following what I was speaking about with a dagger in the infantry, so expecting that to be the stinger first for Aurelia.
Yep.
Maxing W, so yeah, Aurelia W max has not been a thing for a long time. Obviously it was the standard in Season 2 days, but it felt like you got a lot more out of maxing stun for a long time. That stun damage was toned down in previous patches, then we just didn't see Aurelia, but with Stinger fitting the item build path so well, W max, Stinger first Aurelia should become the new norm in the top lane.
Yep. And ADD has a Dark Seal, so going to be looking to stack that up as best as he can. Get that increased regen off of the potion, and then also has that cloth armor coming through. So it could just be a chain vest coming out for him. Maybe the, what's the name of it? Glacial, whatever.
Glacial Shroud?
Shroud, yeah. There we go.
The one that builds into Iceborne Gauntlet.
My mind had a brain. I had a brain fart right there. Okay.
Bit frazzled by the perfect game you just witnessed minutes ago.
That I'm a little bit tired.
Really?
Had a pretty. Well, I guess it wasn't that late of a night. Went to Ultra last night. Saw Dead Mouse.
How was good old Dead Mouse doing? Noted MOBA enthusiast Dead Mouse.
Yeah. No, he was good. Pretty good set. And Vici closed out. And we were done by 11 o'clock. Welcome to Korea. Oh, Duke's going so aggressive onto ADD. Doesn't know that Beyond's here. Still gets the kill, however. Parallel Convergence obviously not going to set him up, but FVP do lose one there in the top side as Duke finds that 1v. It was like a 1.5. I guess I can't really call it a 1v2. Beyond didn't really react in time.
Well, that was one of those things where ADD was trying to calculate the damage and very clearly was baiting. It's just the bait was it's not respecting the damage value of W max Aurelia. Took too much free damage. It was level 6 to level 5. Obviously didn't have the ult to snap back.
Yeah.
And was punished. So calculated so well when it came to getting the 1-for-1 trade on the early gank by Elise. And then the calculations really didn't serve him very well in that scenario.
Yeah, and then Beyond couldn't really chase in for the kill because there was just so many minions that he would have lost out that duel. So very nicely played by Duke, turning things around in what looked like a pretty dire situation.
think it was just more poor execution from Beyond, which, as I said, surprising given that he did have a nice outplay in the 1v2 earlier. So Echo saw pretty heavy-handed changes. You know, Iceborne Gauntlet was nerfed in previous patches. A lot of things have gone against Echo's build path, and this is the direct changes. He had obviously the E damage toned down in previous patches, and then now his chase potential's down because he procs that passive less often, so the movement speed and missing health damage, very relevant when you're chasing down in a long extended laning phase.
Oh, another fight coming out. ADD just got back to the lane. We'll get the parallel convergence. And Duke's just throwing out the ultimate.
Parallel convergence had its stun duration reduced, and basically all his base values were turned down. So AP Echo, more unaffected by the changes, but Tank Echo definitely trying to be forced off the rift.
Yep, there was the glacial trap for him. So just trying to mitigate, build toward that Iceborne Gauntlet as fast as he can. Beyond gonna miss out on this blue buff. Not the biggest thing, because you wouldn't do a whole lot going over to Ian, so it would have been the Gragas taking that one up.
First clear from Gragas can be a bit tricky when it comes to mana sustain, but you can see that he has the Hunter's Potion, so he'll be doing just fine.
So far, it's been pretty stagnant in that mid side. You can see Faker just going straight for the tier, has another Sapphire Crystal in the inventory, and it's just going to be a Spectre's Scout here for Ian, so looking to adhere to this very early on.
Watching the trades top lane with Aurelia having the item advantage. Didn't go for Stinger, just went for the straight Sheen for the burst trade.
Yeah, this is starting to go really one-sided for Duke here. As you can see, he's just winning out these trades and almost doubling the CS that ADD has at the moment, while the bot lane duo of SKTelecom decide to start up this Mountain Drake, but the ward comes over the wall, and that will deter them from going any harder on that objective. ADD, he might just die for the parallel convergence, comes out, yep, not going to get the stun, and Duke comes up with the 1v1.
And it's a solo kill for Duke, and again, feels like the old meta, feels like the return of Najin Duke, and that was good enough to win MVP on a Najin team that struggled, missed playoffs, so meta changes. By the end of right at the end of the tank meta, Duke had caught up. The first 8 games of the season attested to that. Now we get into the meta that actually fits Duke like a glove, and that's scary because SKT, it turns out, was doing plenty of winning beforehand.
Yeah. Now they're doing extra winning. But no perfect game still, as they did give up that kill on the top side for first blood. So unfortunately, not what a garbage team. Can't get 2 perfect games in a row. Well, flash away, still gonna get caught by that Glacial Fissure. Bang, taking those stacks, will get locked up. One more hit, there it's gonna be, but he still makes it back under the sanctity of that tower, and he will stay alive. Wolf has to flash away, but here comes Duke, gets a slow one to Maha. One more auto attack will do it, and he finds it. He's gonna get locked up, however, it looks like he may pay for this one as Ian has joined the team. Gets a ton of regen coming through from the ebb and flow. Duke will still stay alive.
Here comes Faker.
Blank now on the road down, and Faker's here to join as well. Has the wall available. Just gonna go turn straight onto Beyond. They work him down. Duke finds the kill. Wall comes out. Ian has to roam around that one. The Sanguine Pool. Gonna have to flash straight away out of that one to avoid the bubble, and that's gonna be a nice couple kills coming in for SKTelecom in that bottom side. ADD's getting a much needed push onto the top, but I still don't think he's going to be able to take that turret.
Just some really big outplays from SKT, even though they had less resources. SKT was second to react. Of course, Anivia never going to be as fast to roam as Ghost, Flash, Vladimir, but they still went out on the kills. They couldn't even secure the kill onto Duke either. Faker will just be obnoxious, auto-attacking and looking for trades on the Vladimir under turret, and this will be first dragon of the game to SKT.
Mountain Drake as well, and then another Cloud Drake to follow. So we're keeping things pretty close to last game, it seems. But we'll see another look at this engage in the bot side.
Just look at the mini-map, because remember, there's already Beyond here. Elise finally starts walking down, and Nivea's not even interested in coming in. Of course, the teleport from Duke will register. They thought they would get the kill, so Maha eventually dies. Duke has trouble actually auto-attacking the Sivir among 3 people. But then the ebb and flow and the ultimate at the same time is just enough healing. Ian's first instinct is that Aurelia is dead. Realizes that he isn't, but isn't able to turn around to actually kill Duke. And then this is where Duke and Faker and Blank show up, combined for the rest of the kills. They can't quite snipe down Ian, but of course they get turret damage and also the Mountain Drake from it, so stacking up those objectives and advantages are SKT.
Yeah, not to mention almost everybody's summoners is down except for ADD's Flash at the moment, so SKT coming out on top in a very big way.
And guess what? Duke's 4-1-1, so he's going to go back, buy a Trinity Force at 11 minutes, and then Echo can't enter lane.
Yep. He's already had a really hard time entering lane, and now this is just going to be absolutely impressive.
Think about how many times in the last 6 months we've actually been able to say that a top laner can't enter lane. We saw this with in the Challenger Promotion Series where Ryze and Maokai, and the Ryze was so far ahead that Maokai couldn't enter lane, but Maokai is such a cheap build path that honestly we've seen so much of him, he can always kind of just snipe CS from far away. When Aurelia has a Trinity Force over your Glacial Shroud, you can't even hope to look at your turret, let alone get any CS.
Oh boy. ADD clears out the pink ward. There's plenty of ward coverage though for SKTelecom as they come around the back side. They get the parallel convergence stun in the shield, but I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot. Ultimate's still waiting. He snaps back straight in the face of Faker, and he goes down. Duke making it 5-1. And this is just pretty brutal to watch. Not as brutal as the last game, but still, it's up there.
And SKT had two options. They could have had Duke just freeze the wave and then Echo can't enter lane, or they could just turret dive for extra kills, and they go for the more flashy, greedy choice. And they didn't need to invest 3 people, but this does also get them control over the blue buff area. So you asked how many blue buffs Faker's going to get. The answer is plenty.
Yep. So we'll take this one away, continue that tier stacking. Rod of Ages is a little ways out as he already has the Catalyst of Aeons in the inventory. So on the next back, he might even have it after that play on the top side.
ADD has an emergency Kindle gem to go with the Glacial Shroud.
Very needed. But, yeah, still looking pretty rough.
Only you could ask for Parlay in League of Legends. ADD would be behooved to ask Duke for Parlay.
I mean, I'd love to watch Duke's Gangplank.
Rough days for MVP.
Yep. Very rough indeed. It's been a rough last couple of weeks, really, for these guys. Sans the win against ESC.
I mean, they had the heartbreaking losses. The ones where they played very well for large swaths of games. And the KT one was, of course, the famous 53 hit point Nexus loss. And then they played very well against ESC Ever for the majority of the series. Were definitely the better team, 1-2-0. And you kind of hoped that this series would be closer than it's actually ended up being.
Yep. And their next match, this is their only game that they have this week, but even their next match is still going to be a tough one. They go up against Jin Air just a week from today.
Very different team to face, though.
Yeah.
There'll be much longer game times. Expected there not to be the same dominance in the early game. How will Jin Air fit the meta as ADD goes aggressive for some reason?
I'm excited for Trace in this meta. There's some potential there.
He's just, again, there's teams that will be obviously benefited from 6-11 changes. Duke can keep going aggressive. Beyond's here, though.
Yes, he is, but Duke's keeping himself healthy with the ultimate, and ADD already has to use the snap back just to get that extra little bit of HP. And looks like he's just going to have to recall and possibly surrender that turret over to Duke. Blank with the invade down bottom. Gets spotted by the ward, but that opens up the pressure for this tower to be taken. Oh, Beyond stops the recall, goes in, gets a body slam. Duke really far forward, has to just flash away. Will evade getting knocked back by the explosive cask. Still going to be a little too aggro from him.
Yeah, nice respect flash, though. He realized he'd be bounced back into turret and potentially could die 1v2, so just decided to get himself to safety. He's going to let the minions crash on the turret. Just finishing my thought, the big trio, Duke, Someday, Smeb, these are the guys who look at the 6-11 patch notes, look at the Trinity Force changes, and lick their lips.
Yep.
And Trace is, even though at the start of last season was playing more of those carries, he's very much a defensive-minded top lane. So if I'm a betting man, KT, Tigers, SKT, big advantages from these top lane-centric changes on 6-11, and Samsung and Jin Air, I think, are the teams that will struggle to match them because although QV can play some carries, Trace has shown some games where he can carry, they don't have the same mindset, and you need the mindset of a carry to succeed in a top lane-focused meta.
Well, we'll get our first look at the Tigers with this new patch come Wednesday, I believe, as they go up against CJ Entus. So maybe not the greatest judge of how the changes are going to affect them, but in the meantime, we have a little bit of a scuffle on that mid side. You can see the Fate's Call used by Bang just to drag Wolf out to safety, and that should be the end of it, but Ghost was used by Ian.
Yeah, 4,800 gold lead. 5,000 is a lot at 16 minutes, but it pales in comparison to what we saw in the previous game.
Considerably.
Duke roams down. He's gone Berserker Grease, so he's not slowing down with the damage.
And Beyond waiting to roam in here, standing on that pink ward, so he knows he's not seen. Come around the backside. Now on the hunt, gets popped with that move speed. He goes forward with the flash, knocks Bang straight into the rest of the team, and he is going to go down. Maha finds a kill. Nicely played by MVP, just setting the trap for SKT, and they slowly and surely walked right into it.
And Duke had already gone to top side, so honestly, Bang was kind of caught unawares. They're still going to get a free objective from this because MVP is showing so much respect to SKT.
This is going to be the trend tonight. Mountain into Cloud into Mountain again.
Doa and I cast a series where I believe 4 out of 5 Drakes we saw on the day were Cloud, so...
Good lord.
I don't think there was a combat stat. There was maybe 1 Mountain over 2 series. It was insane stuff.
Thank you, RNG.
Our Drakes always.
We're fast.
And we can't complain. We cast a Telecom Wall with only Infernal.
That's very true. Infernal and Mountain only is a nice thing to see.
Only combat stats.
This makes for those skirmishes to be that much more interesting.
I just want to talk a little bit more about, while we have a bit of a lull, the patch changes as well. Just once again talking about the changes. You know, people might say, okay, there was a carry meta before with champions like Fiora, as Duke considers the turret dive again. But it was Fiora beating tanks. Now it's going to be carry versus carry. It's a very different thing. Because Fiora existed as a top lane carry because she beat the tank meta. The tank meta is not necessarily a thing of the past, but soon to become one.
Yeah.
And so it's just true on Aurelia, Jax, Kennen days in the top lane. So it's just very different from the past year or so.
I mean, is there something out there that we just haven't seen across the regions right now that you think you can test with this Aurelia? Because, I mean, something historically before changes to Trinity Force and whatnot that you would sometimes see against Aurelia is like Olaf.
Malphite?
Yeah, that's true, Malphite. We haven't seen him for quite some time. Oh, on the hunt gets popped yet again.
Oh,
Bigger.
the wall.
Yeah, nice denial with the wall. Keeps himself safe, and that opens up pressure here for the rest of the team to push in, take down the tier 1. Game comes around the side, TP straight in the middle of the lane. Parallel convergence goes down. Can he find the lockups? And he gets stunned on the flank, and Wolf. Tidal Wave comes out. They just go ahead and pop ADD. Can't even use the ultimate to keep himself alive. Ian now on the run as Duke just keeps 3 members of MVP busy. You see that Vladimir is just not long for this world. He goes down. Blank finds the kill. That will be the tier 1 tower going down to SKTelecom, and maybe more. They can just push straight in for that tier 2.
And when you're ahead on Aurelia, there's no way for the AD carry to even come near. You can always free auto attack a Maokai. You can never get that close to an Aurelia. So 3 members zoned away after Beyond had to use a 1-man ultimate onto Duke as well. Excellent turret damage also. The Mountain Drake in tow. They will take 2 extra objectives from that. And now this gold lead starts to balloon for SKT.
Yep. Another look at this one here.
I mean, it looked good from an MVP side, but the 4-man HEMA play just doesn't count.
Pop.
Exactly. He popped down. First, the Echo just dies in the front line. Duke, no way for MVP to walk past this top lane Triforce carry, and thus Ian dies for free in the back line.
Yep. Oh, SKTelecom. Just clapping their enemies left and right.
It's a long season, so get used to it. If this SKTelecom sticks together, and there's no reason they shouldn't, then...
That would be a massive shakeup if something like that happened in the middle of the split.
Well, it would require an act of God, you'd have to think, to stop them from just fielding the same roster. And so far, the roster, it was good before, and again, the changes, if anything, seem to have made them stronger.
Yep. I think if Faker calls the shots, it's going to keep everything the way that it is. But we got to be pretty damn happy with how things are going thus far. Bang, oh, maybe in a bad spot. AD coming forward, Wolf is slow. Bang trying to jump away. Nice double bubble there by Wolf, but isn't enough to keep him alive. He's hiding back as best as he can, but Maha's on the backside. Crits come through, and they finally kill Wolf, looking to flash out of the Baron pit. It doesn't look like he's going to make it. He does not. That's going to be another kill going over to the Sivir. So Bang and Wolf playing up way too far, not having enough vision. They get punished for it.
Yeah, disrespectful play, honestly. They didn't have vision on that side of the map at all, and just surprised from MVP. They thought they'd be demoralized. They thought that they wouldn't look for these sort of aggressive plays. It's the sort of play you don't make against a team that you're, expecting to be on the same footing as you, and it's good to see MVP see an opportunity and take it. They haven't had the chance to do that this week.
Uh-oh, Blank going in for the kill on the ADD. Knows he doesn't have the ultimate. Dodges out the parallel convergence with the repel, but now maybe doesn't have the gap close, and he does not. AD will be able to get out with his life.
Sub 100 health, didn't have enough range on the Spider Q, so couldn't pick up the kill. Now we see Duke against Ian in the side lane. This is always a matchup that Aurelia traditionally won, and nothing should change. Was able to fit in a Spectre's Cowl as well.
Duke is getting closer to Flame Horizon territory. He's just about 40 off at the moment, and Berserker creeps through Aurelia.
5% extra attack speed and the swiftness boots being largely trivialized means we'll see more Berserkers, specifically from the AD carries, but increasingly from some of these top lane carries as well.
He has a Glacial Shroud. Frozen Fist plus Trinity Force. Let's see it.
Frozen Heart was always the staple on Aurelia.
Yeah, the Frozen Heart would be really good into Maha.
So probably going to be the Frozen Heart, as you say, the passives don't stack from Trinity Force and the Iceborne Gauntlet.
What a world that would be. I don't want to live in that world. That sounds terrible.
Trinity Force Lich Bane back in the day could have been fun as well. But again, it's not the world we live in.
You know, an item we haven't really seen at all is Wit's End. Did get a cost reduction. They changed the build path for that
Really big buff. I mean, the only champion that really makes sense with it is Warwick, obviously. Gets a lot of power over that, but it's not a competitive pick. And Cogmore really would love the newly rebuffed Wit's End, so I think we could definitely see some Cogmore with Wit's End. But
I mean, if you have a heavy AP team, why not this Aurelia? He's going very much for the attack speed, the increase on the Trinity Force, the Berserker's Greaves, as well as Fervor. That makes sense.
With Aurelia, it's always a tipping point because you build damage until you feel like you don't need damage anymore. So tankiness makes so much more sense at this point. It's already killing everyone, so it doesn't need to stack on the damage. But you're right, Wit's End was always an edge case Aurelia item.
It's going to be another Cloud Drake, Papa.
Great.
We're just going to keep this train rolling. But I remember back in, oh god, season 3?
What a dilapidated train that must be.
It's a very boring train.
Yeah.
It's not the SKT hype train. Oh, AD does take away that buff. But I was going to say, I remember back in like season 3 or something, just top Mundo with Wit's End and
Really?
beating the crap out of people.
I remember Top Mundo with Spirit Visage, so maybe we're just remembering different things.
You do like Spirit Visage, Warmogs, Wit's End, and like a Randuin's or something, and they just never get away from you, never kill you.
I don't remember a phase where Wit's End was a Mundo item. I definitely remember...
I'm talking about solo queue.
Sure.
This is not professional play.
Now, if you said Warmog's Atmas, then sure.
Oh god, Atmas.
Critting on your E as Mundo with his health total was good times.
Now there's a name I've not heard.
Good old Atma. He's an Impaler.
He didn't impale very much.
No.
Didn't really do the job. I mean, by the end, like, who was even a champion that used Atmas? Like, Garen? Maybe?
But it was always a good Gangplank item, even if he had low health, just because the crit was
Tank Plank.
harder to find. Tank Plank, as you mentioned.
Oh. He finds pretty much all 5 members of MVP. Keeps him busy, though. Flashes over the wall to stay safe. And SKTelecom just starting up this Baron. It looks like it's going to go down. No one near MVP. Able to contest this one. Figure waiting in the brush, can find Ian. Just waits him even further, gets the wall out. The stun not going to connect. They throw Wolf in, though. Get the pop-up on the max. He's taking a ton of damage and blocking a ton as well with the Unbreakable. He will go down in the end. Figure comes around the sidelines, finds Maha. Look at the crit coming through. 600 damage just about onto that Sivir as he's trying to kite back. Ian, the one sitting up in the front lines, but he's going to get popped by Faker as well. And SKTelecom looking to keep pushing it. Nice walls. Not going to be able to find the kill on the ADD, but 2 members down plus Baron buff. This is looking like inhibitor territory for SKTelecom.
Crazy that fight went as well as could be expected from MVP. Max actually blocks the tidal wave from hitting the backline. If it's the first projectile hit, then you will block the rest of the tidal wave. So nice job from Max. It gives his life, and now we're going to see some more kills.
Okay, well, ADD does manage to use the ultimate this time, but Maha flashes out, doesn't get the Ren coming through from Bang to confirm the kill, but the rest of MVP are just scrambling. They do find a kill onto the Callista in the end. Inhibitor's going to go down, and Duke is just splitting down the bot side, so MVP finds an answering kill, but they're losing so much in the base.
I mean, Bang flashed aggressively 4v5 to secure a kill. Such was his confidence, was well punished. Second time that Bang, and Wolf it was previously, have been punished, but Duke, meanwhile, just taking down turrets aplenty.
So I'll take another look at this one. The catch coming through for Faker.
I mean, Max saves this fight. If you watch, he's at the front. Because he's the first one hit with the tidal wave, it does stop it from affecting Ian and beyond. That would have been more kills, but Duke finds the most beautiful of teleport flanks, and yeah, they just chase down. They don't necessarily have the damage to register all these kills, but there's nothing MVP can do.
Yeah, 3-man Hemo Plague even, and Ian just can't get close enough to follow up on the damage. So in the end, the pop comes through. It doesn't really do much of anything.
We didn't really spend any time talking about the team comps. You can definitely see the engaged comp on the side of MVP. The Sivir has so much great synergy with the Vladimir, and potentially you can do some great things with Beyond, who was doing aggressive casks when we saw him play against ESC Ever. SKT, very much about getting that split push advantage. They did that with Irelia being just so damn far ahead in the top lane. Teamfight, they have the great option of the wall, and their single target damage is very good. It just hasn't really counted for much once again. Hasn't necessarily been game one level of one-sided, but still very much SKT in control.
Yeah, you can see the Blade of the Rune King build now coming in for Duke, looking for even more trade potential, plus that slow on the active as a Spirit Visage in so he was just mitigating all types of damage while outputting just as much.
And the 4-1 is on because no one can enter lane against Duke, and he's got Trinity Force. He will take down those turrets very quickly.
Yeah, we can see this thing just getting destroyed very quickly by him and the Baron empowered minions. So it's going to be another inhibitor exposed. Super Creep's getting ready to start pushing down that mid side. SKTelecom are looking for 2 more as the rest of the team pushes in onto this top side. And MVP basically have to answer this top because they can't do anything against Duke at the moment. So another inhibitor going to go down for free.
Irelia was always one of the scariest champions to be strong in the meta because if no one can enter her lane, she split pushes turrets quickly. And when she teleports in, she has tenacity built in. She bursts down backline. So even in a team fight, if she can teleport flank, she can just ruin the AD carry's day and trivialize them in a team fight.
Yep. Duke now joining his team up with this top side as the turret does go down. That's going to allow for SKTelecom to push forward into the base. Duke just getting straight onto Ian, whittling him down as best as they can. Blank will have to dodge out with Repel, moving himself up into the air. Duke gets locked up by the concussive blows, but goes straight to the back line of the Maho. Gets knocked up by the tidal wave. ADD and Beyond up at the front lines, having to retreat because they're taking so much damn damage. Pop comes through and bang, rends out ADD for the kill. 1 member down, 3 inhibitors falling. Now SKTelecom are just straight onto the Nexus turrets, looking to close this game out under 30 minutes. Waves aren't quite there though. We'll see how long they stick around. Blank is very low at the moment.
Duke healing up though. No one can peel the Irelia away, and that's a team with a Braum. But there's just no answer. Gragas has no ability to do it as well. This is what Irelia does, and she's damned efficient at it.
Yep. Pop-up goes on to Max. No one to follow that one up, but they're just letting the Super Creeps crash in on all waves. Nexus turret's gonna fall. SKTelecom are gonna close this game out. ADD coming up in 4 seconds, but he just cannot do a damn thing when he gets there. Beyond goes down, and that's gonna be the Nexus falling here at 29.5 minutes. SKTelecom go 10-0 in the game score as they take down MVP with a 2-0.
And after a demonstration of how to take down a Trinity Force top laner, we now get a demonstration on how to play with one. We saw some solo kills coming from Duke, good jungle attention from Blank as well. Even though they botched the first engage, Irelia can warp games like this. Trinity Force top laners, Jax and Irelia can do this, where if no one can enter lane against them, and Vlad famously in the top lane could never deal with Irelia either, you can't enter the lane. Also, if you teamfight, Watch will just teleport in and kill your AD carries. Yeah. So there were no good decisions left for MVP, and thus SKT to come with victory. Look at that gold damage dealt. This is the new future we live in. Enjoy it, guys, because Irelia's here to play.
Well, I, for one, welcome our new top lane overlords in Irelia and Jax. It's good to see them back in action here. But yeah, 20.6 thousand. Next closest was Bang's Kalista, which was a little rough. I mean, that entire bot lane interaction from SKTelecom is actually looking a little skewed compared to their normal level of play, but still do come out on top in the end.
I mean, Bang was aggressively flashing in 4v5s to get exit kills because the game was over, the series was over. Clearly, it was a low-stakes situation for him because he would not, as you mentioned, make those sort of plays in a normal game.
Well, even earlier on in that match was still a little bit rough. But MVP, in the end, looking like they had a little bit more of a breath of life in this match. They put up a fight. They didn't give up a perfect series. But in the end, I think they were only able to garner 5 or 6 kills for themselves. So still a lot of work to be done if they want to contend with these top teams. Because, again, a week from today, they go up against Jin Air.
Which is a week to kind of look back at their recent series, learn some of their difficulties, because it's definitely a team that has some strengths, has some weaknesses. Not maybe as many as ESC ever, whose early game needs a fine-tooth comb taken through, but MVP, 2-0 victory into about as one-sided 2-0 loss as you could potentially take. So when you have to talk about avoiding a perfect series as kind of a yardstick, it lets you know that really not much joy to take from MVP, but perhaps, at least in this second game, they can get some ideas about how to play around this new top lane meta, because SKT showed it on both sides, how to play against it and how to play with it. So that's the sort of thing where over the course of the series you could learn, okay, this is what the meta is going to look like. I think this was very much a tale we're going to see repeated again and again about getting those Trinity Force top laners either way behind or way ahead. And you can see the results in the pressure because no one could split push against Irelia. and Aurelia was useless in game 1, so it's very much two ends of a spectrum.
Yeah, and this is just a great spot for SK Telecom to be in, because they're still drawing bans, like 6.10 bans, onto Faker, onto, even the top lane pool, and now suddenly you have Duke with this massive arsenal of carry tops that he can bring to the table. How do you approach a draft going against SK Telecom? It just seems like there's too many components that you can't disable. SK Telecom will always be able to piece together a victory.
You can't ban Faker. That's something we've learned over 3+ years of play, but you can try to ban some of these powerful picks, and I think Aurelia was the one who was clearly going to synergize best with Trinity Force, and this is very clearly a champion that you either have to have a damn good plan playing against or take the consequences, and Duke, with that win, now with the MVP as well, jumps to top of the league.
Yep. He'll be sitting high and mighty with 400 points, but there's still several people itching to get up there with him, and we'll see how that's going to evolve through the rest of the split. But what a performance on this Aurelia, showing everyone how it's done. This time and time again, making ADD's life a living hell.
And they avoid the first kill where Duke just miscalculated the minion damage and went for a 1-for-1 trade, but after that, very clean play. Then we see the teleport coming in. This was basically what cemented the game, because the laning phase had already been won by Duke at that point. Yeah. This got him closer to his Trinity Force. Crucially, didn't die at the end.
Yeah, the ebb and flow here from Wolf was just so perfectly timed with the ultimate there to heal him up.
But what's AD to do? If he doesn't do this, look at where the minion wave is. He can't get to minions. He can't really jungle. There's less experience for non-smite junglers. There's nowhere to go in this new world where you can't take jungle camps. You can't enter lane. There's just nothing for him to do.
Yeah, this was just a great roam-up by him, catching MVP right on the backside. And then just whittling them down very quickly. But SK Telecom, I mean, what more can you say about this team? Looking insanely strong, looking like it could just be welcome back to Worlds for them. And MVP just having to do a lot of work. They do get an easier match in CJ Entus later on next week. But even then, CJ's been looking stronger. So it's really interesting to see how that one's going to turn out. That could determine who will be the bottom team in LCK Summer.
Yeah. Again, I try not to make too many predictions about bottom teams because we saw teams with, 1-2 series wins last year. There's still a lot of time. A lot of these teams have one-match wins, so it's like one monkey off their back, and it's just where do they go from here is the question. Because
I'm saying bottom as we progress.
I mean, like Longzhu, for example. Like, they're a bottom team, but are they going to be bottom 2? Are they going to be 6th? Are they going to make it to playoffs? We don't know the answer to those questions. Okay, CJ MVP ever, at least at this point. Do like they're going to be heavily struggling, but I mean, at one point I tipped ever to be top 3, so maybe that says a lot about me as an analyst. Sorry, guys. I mean, what can I do? Monty will be back soon, don't worry. But also, they struggled, so yeah. What's to say?
No, not a whole lot, but we can go ahead and look forward to tomorrow's matches. That is going to be Jin Air versus Afrika Freaks, so that should be a more evenly handed matchup between those two teams. We'll see who's going to be able to come out on top of that one. You mentioned Monty coming back in. You're going to go back to the days of the double analyst cast, because I'm going to be out for the next couple. Doa's in America, so you get Papa Monty cast coming your way. So we'll see you guys back here tomorrow for another Piggyback broadcast at 8 p.m. in Korean times. For now, have a good night, and we'll see you guys next time.